Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and after a lot of requests and a lot of time, I am finally here for another tier list video. In this video, I will be doing a tier list for The Last of Us series. We are doing The Last of Us 1 and 2 combined together, and we will be covering the major characters. Thank you for the support on the Walking Dead Telltale tier list series that I did. The reason why I'm doing this tier list video is because of how successful that was. So, I'm going to set a like goal straight off the bat. If we can get 1,000 likes on this, that would be greatly appreciated. And I will throw you guys a link where I found this tier list, so if you guys want to make your own tier list, or leave them down below in the comments, I greatly would appreciate that. If you do enjoy this video, though, please be sure to subscribe. I would appreciate that, as about 20% of you guys that watch these videos are subscribed. Enjoy the video, everybody. Alright, so this is The Last of Us 1 and 2 characters tier list maker. Actually, big shout out to the person who made this. They have included the names of each character, which is good. We're gonna start from top left to bottom right, and we'll go in order. I just want to say right now that I am rating these characters on my opinion. I'm not rating them how they're written. I am rating them on my opinion. A lot of people in my Walking Dead tier list video did not understand that I'm not rating them based on how they're written. I'm rating them based on my thoughts and my opinions and my interactions with them. Also, I also want to say, again, we got S rank. Big mistake I made in the last video. I had S rank lower. So S rank is the best characters. A under, B, you know, middle-ish. C meh, D trash. Okay. An apology I'd like to make. The last video tier list, I forgot to go in presentation mode. Now I've noticed there was a presentation mode, so here we are. Alright, so we're going to probably start with the most controversial character in the entire series, in my opinion. And this is the character that was just introduced, the dual playable character in part 2, along with Ellie and Joel. We have Abby. Now, I realize that people will get mad either way I pick this. If I pick her too low, people that love her are going to be like, Dom, you're crazy. And if I pick her too high, people are going to be like, oh, you're a paid shill. So allow me to interpret based on what I've said. Now, if my original walkthrough, I did not like Abby. Be the first one to admit that. I didn't think, you know, I understand what Naughty Dog was trying to do. Redemption story, etc. with Lev and Yara. And their goal was to make us relate to her, feel sorry for her. And I originally didn't. And people said, Dom, you're crazy. You don't understand the story. You know, you can't think that deep like we all do. You're a psychopath. I can't tell how many people thought I was a psychopath because I thought I wanted to kill Abby originally. So, after playing now 3 times, getting the Platinum Trophy, I can say I was wrong to some degree. I believe Abby is a great character, but she is not one of the best. Now, allow me to clarify. Do I think she's the worst character ever? She killed Joel. I hate her forever. No. Originally I probably would have said that because I love Joel. Joel is probably my favorite character in the whole series. But, you know, I'm always going to have that little hatred towards her because I love Joel. But I understand what, you know, the story and what they were trying to do. And obviously, some people are going to love it, that what they did with that, and some people are absolutely going to hate it. And you obviously know this is probably the most controversial game, not just of 2020, but of the last decade. Or maybe you could say of all time, because every comment, every tweet, there's always people going at it in the comments that I noticed. So, where do I put Abby? I'm going to put Abby, after playing multiple times and understanding complexities, I'm going to put Abby at the B tier. She's about middle ground for me. Obviously, I think of part 3, if we expand on her story and more, I'll probably put her in the A or S. So, next we have Bill from The Last of Us 1. So Bill, to me, is one of my favorite characters. He's got a great personality. He's got good arguments that I love with Ellie, that they get into it with each other. And really what I would have wished is that we would have gotten more time with him, but I understand he was more of just a side character, you know, a minor character to some degree, and that was just, you know, meant to help Joel and Ellie on their journey to the Fireflies. But man, whenever I loved have an extra hour or 2 with him, absolutely. He knew his stuff. Very funny character, very entertaining to interact with. But, you know, at least Ellie referenced him in The Last of Us 2. That was really nice that she did, but man, I wish he would return. Maybe he'll return one day in The Last of Us 3. I keep my fingers crossed for that. But with Bill, I'm going to put him at the A tier. Next, we have David from The Last of Us 1, the major antagonist. To find out all the stuff that he did, and that he was all weird with Ellie, and then he was a cannibal, he's not a good person. Man, but Nolan North really is a great voice actor to portray such a powerful... He could do Nathan Drake. You know, everyone loves Nathan Drake, and then you could have a freaking pitiful antagonist like David. That's how the powerful Nolan North is with his voice acting. So, what I think about it with David, you know, there's nothing really good I can say about him. He was a really great villain, though. So I'm going to put David at the D tier for obviously, you know, good reasons. Now, if we just rate him based on his character, I'd probably put him C or B. Alright, next we have Dina from The Last of Us Part 2, a new character we were introduced to several months ago, and Ellie's girlfriend. Now, Dina, in my opinion, I've had a mixed experience with her. On one hand, she's got an amazing relationship with Ellie, probably one of the best I've seen in a video game. They really do care for each other, and they have a relationship that most people would probably want if they had a real-life relationship like that. They really do care for each other, and you could tell throughout the game, especially at the end when things, you know, really hit ahead, without me kind of spoiling, things hit ahead. So you've also got a wide variety of moments throughout the game between the two, and obviously the first act was probably the best part, you know, like that I said with them, and also probably the ending with the barn scenes. So other than her AI being and there was a couple shady things that happened that I wasn't the biggest fan of, I did love Dina's character. So I am going to be putting Dina at the A tier along with Bill. Change several things, I probably would put her at the S tier, but S tier is top. Alright, next is Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 1, I don't think there's anything I need to say about Ellie. She's probably one of the greatest characters in gaming. I don't think anybody can question that. No matter how you feel about The Last of Us Part 2, or The Last of Us in general, you have to agree Ellie is one of those characters that just universally loved by pretty much everybody. Now, there are people in The Last of Us Part 2 that think Ellie wasn't the same character she was in Part 1, but I disagree. I think Ellie is probably top 5 character for me in gaming. Her evolution of her character reminds me a lot of Clementine from The Walking Dead. Is just a amazing way how much she's changed from the very beginning, the first time you meet her, all the way to the end of Part 2. Just in general, just Part 2 in general, from her start to beginning in Part 2, her evolution is just one of the greatest things to witness in a video game, in my opinion. So Ellie is the first character going on the S tier list. Next is Henry from The Last of Us Part 1. Man, talk about a character that I really loved. He was introduced obviously right before, you know, we had all the interactions with, you know, getting through the sewers and stuff, and him and Sam were such great characters, and just to see, you know, him caring for his brother like that was something really I loved. And their relationship, just the interactions with him and Joel after they had their fiery exchange at the beginning, even after, you know, a little couple shady things that Henry had done, just seeing how close everyone was getting with each other, I felt like it was almost a little family of sorts that we all had going. And it was, you know, they all cooking stew, they're all laughing, and then the incident happened. Such a sad way for Henry to go, you know. Man, it still hits in the feels all these years later. So Henry, you're going to be put in the A tier. Now this is a character, this next one is a character that pisses me off. His potential was thrown out the window, and he's going to be rated low because of it. Isaac, which was the leader of the WLF. What can I say, man? What I had after seeing the trailers and stuff, I had aspirations that he was going to be a major character, or at least even a minor one. I don't even think he was minor, to be honest. We barely got any scenes with him. He seemed like a really cunning leader, and most of the stuff I learned about him was through notes. There was so many notes that mentioned Isaac. But, man, just to see him get killed the way he did, you know, kind of deserving. I'm glad he died. But I really expected more from his character, and unfortunately, he's not like David in Part 1. He just doesn't have that villain aspect to him. But obviously, he was going to show no mercy to Abby, as Abby was trying to care for Lev. So I'm putting Isaac at the D tier, as well as with David. Next, I'm going to have Jerry, which is Abby's father from The Last of Us Part 2. Now, a lot of people have their opinions on Jerry. Really, the only thing I really can say about this man is that he went through with the surgery for Ellie without telling Joel, tell Marlene and all that, and they kind of just didn't really, have an interaction with him. And, after, a couple scenes, he's voiced by Mark Jefferson, the guy who plays Mark Jefferson in Life is Strange, so I found pretty interesting. I wish, I don't even think he really existed, we could say, in Part 1. I felt like they just threw him in for plot's sake, but, there was a couple cool scenes with him, so I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and put him at the C rank. We're going to speed this up a little bit because we're already at the 11-minute mark. So next we were talking about Jesse from The Last of Us Part 2. His ending was, man, it really hit. I really like Jesse as a character, and even though they did replace him with Joel and, the trailers and stuff, man, I thought he was a great character. Nah, he's not Joel, of course, but really, he fit in a great side character, and a character I think that really, when push comes to shove, would have been one of the characters that I would have, hey, if I had to save a character, I would save him. He's really reliable. But he just died in one of the quickest, saddest ways possible, just getting shot in the head, and boom, he's gone. Just like that. So we're going to put Jesse at the B tier. Next, we have Joel from The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. My favorite character in the entire series. There's not much I have to say about Joel. The only thing I have to really say is that, man, I wish he was still alive. He got killed off so early in Part 2. My heart was broken, and he's one of the few characters I've shed a tear over. So, I'm going to put him, along with Ellie, at the S tier. Next, we have Jordan from The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, well, Jordan, yeah, okay. Alright, next we have Lev from The Last of Us Part 2. A character I really was interested to see after the trailers had been released and lived up to my expectations, maybe even surpassed my expectations. I didn't expect Lev to be as big of a character as he was going to be, and he really broke my mind. And his relationship with Abby and how that develops throughout the entirety of the game was something not up to Joel and Ellie level, but it reminded me a little bit of Joel and Ellie, that the caregiver, Lev didn't have to take care of Abby didn't have to take care of Lev. She took that upon herself, same as Joel. Joel didn't have to take Ellie, but Joel took it upon himself. So Lev is going to be put at the A tier. Next we have Manny, the one who spit on Joel. Oh, him. Okay. Next we have Maria. Man, this is a character I think has a lot more potential. Breaks up with Tommy in The Last of Us 2. Doesn't really get any scenes really in The Last of Us 1 of them, dam scenes and stuff. I just wanted more with Maria, and even Last of Us 2, I'm like, can Maria please get more? And she really was only seen in the beginning of the game again. So, if you give her more, I'd put her higher than C, but she's at C. Next, we have Marlene. Now, Part 2 gave us a little more backstory into her. Got like maybe 10 minutes extra with her. And, how she was in Part 1, I consider her a backstabbing snake. But after seeing Part 2 a little bit and understanding more of everything, she's not as bad as I first thought. But she can't go that high because of what she tried to do to Joel and all that. And am I mad that she died? Probably a little, but I'm glad Joel did what he did. Joel said, if the Lord gave me a chance to do that again, I would do it. So we're going to put her at the C rank. Next, we have Mel from The Last of Us Part 2. Again, a lot of people in Abby's group I don't have the biggest affection towards. Mel, on the other hand, she's not that bad. I really think, she's one of the better people in that group. But the only thing I really don't like about her is that she's, you know, she's got a pregnant child and she's willing to do everything. That's crazy. She really is. She's an Iron Woman. You got to give her respect for that. But man, all the risks she takes, and she's voiced by, you know, voice actor Chloe Price, so she gets points up for that one. So she's gonna go at the C tier as well. Next we have Nora. I do not like Nora. I do not like anything really about Nora. Sorry if anyone here's a Nora fan. I just can't really show her much respect. So I'm gonna put her at the D rank as well. Now Owen. If you watch my streams, you know I think Owen's a cheating scumbag. And to some degree that is true. But under all that, he's a pretty underrated character. He's got a little dynamic in relationship with Abby. He's kind of one of the more level-headed people in that group. So he gets the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to put him at the C rank. Next, we have Riley from The Last of Us Part 1. Another character that brings a tear to my eye. Her and Ellie's, you know, stuff that they had, that was really special and really emotional. And seeing her, how that goes, the DLC Left Behind, how she died, really getting to know her character, broke my heart. So I'm going to put Riley at the S tier. Surprise, surprise there for some maybe. Next we have Sam from The Last of Us Part 1. Him and Henry. What can I say? I've already talked about Henry. Sam, seeing his robot in Part 2, just remembering Ellie has not forgotten Sam and all that. You know, they were really good friends. And you know, losing a friend is never easy. And you could just tell Ellie was never the same character after all that went down and all the stuff with David eventually. That, you know, this is one of the stuff that, you know, Henry's death, Sam's death, one of the two things that I could say really that, you know, pushed Ellie, you know, didn't make her the same. You could tell there was an evolution in her character in the first game. A tier. Next we have Sarah. Joel's daughter. One of the only scenes in the game that's made me cry. There's been only a couple, and this is one of them. Just, she sounded like a really good character throughout the little time we got with her. And that death scene was just, and emotions were, you know, tears were shed, tissues were used. I'm gonna put her at the A tier. Next we have Seth from The Last of Us Part 2. A sandwich. Gotta give him the benefit of the doubt, but what he says to Ellie and all that, Dina, not a big fan, but really, not really a major character, so I'm not gonna watch him. He goes in the D tier. Next we have Tess. Talk about another character that really I had an attraction towards, that I thought was an amazing, amazing character. Attraction to her as a character. She was a powerful character. One of my favorites in the series. And her and Joel, think that they were kind of a thing, you know, and having Joel lose her, and you could just tell he was just affected by it, and it really, you know, was one of those things that hit him hard. All that time they spent together. He's up at the top, S tier. Next is Tommy. Me and my homies love Tommy. Having him more in Part 2 was a blessing, and to see him, in my opinion, other than Ellie, was a character, maybe even more than Ellie. He got beaten, handicapped, shot, blind in an eye, dumped, alone, angry. This man went through everything in Part 2, and I feel so bad for him. And I hope if Part 3 comes out, we get to play as him. I know it's going to be unlikely because he's, you know, blind, handicapped, but you never know. Things are possible. Maybe a prequel with him and Joel. I've always kept my fingers crossed for that. So I am going to put him at the A tier as well. Next we have Yara of Sister. Really cool moments with her. Her sacrifice scene, very, very emotional, and her relationship with her brother and how she cares for her brother was really powerful to me. So I'm going to be putting her at the B rank. And lastly we have JJ, Jesse Joel. I mean, I don't, he's not confirmed Jesse Jr., so Jesse Joel. I hope we get more time with him in Part 3. He's going to be, I think, a big character in the next game. And he reminds me a lot of Alvin Jr. So, we're going to put you at A tier. And that is it. that is going to do it for my tier list of The Last of Us Part 2. Here's a little quick look at it. Let me know what you guys have down below in the comments. I'll throw a link again to this down below in the description where you can check it out. Now, there are a couple characters I may have missed. Again, I did not make this tier list, so if there are some characters missing, note that I did not make this list. So, I mean, one I could think off the top of my head is Robert, but I'm pretty sure these are pretty much all the main characters. So, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and let me know down below in the comments what you think. And if you want to see more of The Last of Us, let me know what else I can do. I want to start branching out to some more things, definitely with the series like I did with The Walking Dead. So I thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace and love, everybody. Have a great day.